Here's the great thing about life in general. If you never quit, you keep on working, you never lose. You just keep on going.
You are elevating at a high pace, difficult conditions, pressure, push to the limit in the game.
You look in the future, I want to be here. What do I have to get to there?
Dr. Tommy Rhee is a chiropractor who has treated elite athletes, including the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the NFL, UCLA athletes, and US Navy. And he is the author of The Future of Regenerative Medicine, unlocking the potential of topical stem cell therapy when under high pressure. What do?
There was a time in my life when I had a lot of bad things happen to me in a period of like 1 month.
Pain can be a trigger to a lot of negative beliefs. So when someone's physically triggered, they can mentally spiral.
The easiest way out of things is
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pause to Elevate with Dr. Qasim Al-Mashat. I am so excited to share today's conversation with a pioneer in regenerative medicine. My guest is Dr. Tommy Rhee. He's a chiropractor who has treated elite athletes, including the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the NFL, as well as UCLA athletes and US Navy. He has introduced a breakthrough in non-invasive stem cell therapy that's transforming recovery and performance. No needles required, folks. His book is The Future of Regenerative Medicine, Unlocking the Potential of Topical Stem Cell Therapy. So friends, join us today if you want to learn how to unlock the mindset that drives resilience, motivation, recovery, well-being, and success. But first, a warm welcome to you to the Pause to Elevate podcast.
thank you very much and love the invitation and love the show and I'm excited about this.
Thank you so much. I feel so pumped. I know we chatted before the recording as well. I felt pumped after we talked. So thank you so much for joining us. I have so many questions for you that I want to really get into your mindset and your life experiences. But first, like a personal interest, you were with the Buccaneers in the NFL. Those of you may know the Buccaneers. What was it like being on a plane with the Buccaneers after a day where they win or a Sunday that they lose? What is that like being in there?
Hey, let's talk about the wins. You know, the wins are the very the optimistic view of things, right? I mean,
Yes.
especially when you look at those long flights and you have a good win. Oh, the nap is better, the food tastes better. It's just a better flight. It's like anything else. When you win, you have that optimism of the future and things are going great, and then you have a win under your record. So it's a good feeling on that flight. You feel the
Yes.
energy, and it's just a good feeling, right?
Can
Now the
imagine a lot of high fives, a lot of, like,
Well, interesting enough, after a game, so we have probably like about an hour to get ready to get back on the bus, and we fly out that day of the game. I mean, we're on the plane, we're gone. We grab
oh,
a meal,
wow, that's quick.
yeah, real quick. So then there's no real time to like enjoy it because you're trying to recover as fast as you can. So then you have to get ready for next week's game. So it's real quiet on that plane, especially on the flight back, especially during the middle of the season. But the last game of the season, if you're win or lose kind of in the mental state, that sets a little different kind of like flight. So, but on the other token of the winning is a losing game. So those are kind
Mm,
of intense. It's just the energy. You can feel the energy, especially like a lot of athletes are questioning their worth. You're sitting back and you're observing and you just feel the tension. And sad to say is that some people are worried about their job and their position, so you can feel the tension.
right.
It's
So,
very tense. That's all the way from the players to even the coaches, the administrative, the anybody that has to do with the team, and they're trying to like figure out, am I part of this reason why we lost? And they're trying to question their. So you can sense it. So it's kind of interesting on that flight back, and you're in that plane, so there's no place to hide. So you're really
right.
I mean, if somebody wants to have a meeting right there in front of the whole team, you're going to have that meeting. So it's very, how would you say, it's very revealing to see the behind the scenes right in front of you that acts out there.
Can only imagine that. Like, what a high stakes, high pressure as well that you're naming. Like, it's something that, when we watch sports, and watch NFL or really any sport as well, we just see, the game, but there's so much happens in the background that
Oh
I'm
yeah,
just so curious because that's part of the human experience. I mean, these are humans. We just see
yeah.
they're superstars, but they're humans. I mean, they got emotions, they got a body, they got, you know what I mean? Like,
So
yeah,
people think that when you travel with a team, it's like romantic, exciting. But let me tell you something. It's work. It is nothing
yeah,
but just constantly run, 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 rush, hurry up, check in, get to your
yeah,
place, prep up, prepare for the game, and after the game, you're rushing and getting out as quick as possible. So there's no like enjoying the city, the surroundings. You're going there for a job. You fly
right,
in, you check in your hotel, you get your meal, and then the next day you get up early in the morning, depending on the game. If it's a 1 o'clock game, then you're
right.
there early in the morning, you prep up, and then it's game time. You're going and you're constantly moving, running
Wow.
around, and then after the game, take a shower, get cleaned up, get back on the bus, flight home.
That's incredible. Actually, I never anticipated that. I thought like take a little break, let's celebrate even, middle of a season. But actually, the reality is it's so interesting how we have perceptions when we don't know. Right. So
Yeah,
people, I had a perception, oh, we're just hanging out, they're just chilling, we're going into jacuzzi and like cold plunges and and then maybe the next day go home. No, like within an hour. That's incredible because we
yeah,
have to go back and prepare, which means you were part of that. You had to be part of a rush as well. And
yeah.
wow, so you did a lot of flying during that time, I guess.
Oh yeah, I mean you're talking about especially like when you look at far games like we're in the East Coast and we'll play like San Francisco or San Diego and that's a long flight. So we'll go there a
Yeah.
day. So typically we fly the day before the game, but on those long flights we'll go 2 days before the game.
Oh,
And then, so that gives you a little more acclimated to the time zone and you do a little bit of walkthroughs and just practice. And then in my world, it's basically, get the athlete ready for the game and from all the way from the chiropractic side of it to the soft tissue to like range of motion or some type of like some issue with their joints. I want to try to get them as at 100% as possible before the game. So
wow.
that's where the stress really comes on to me is like right before the game, everybody wants to warm up and get ready for the game. So you're talking about 53 players and I'll have half of them. So in this
Oh, wow.
yeah, in this period of time, I have to go through probably like maybe 20 to 30 athletes and then it's the chiropractic adjustment. It's this, the soft tissue manipulation called ART. It's also
Yes.
sometimes it's just a little bit of just other type of like stretches, but you have to go through these players as fast as you can. You're just going through them, and then they want to get worked on everybody at the same time because the game starts at the same time. So
Right.
they're all prepping the same time. So you have to go through them as quick as possible. So you want to make sure that you're
Wow.
you're getting the best treatment for that short duration of each athlete, so they can get to the best peak performance. So it's stressful, and then so I'm drenched, I'm sweating in the
Yeah, I
locker room.
can imagine.
Yeah. So I think I mentioned this in another podcast, but they would these locker rooms, the newer locker rooms, they have room for like every type of like like specialists there from the ortho. They have like the medical side of it, the locker room, the,
Right.
the waiting room. They got, but when you go to these old stadiums, like the stadiums of like San Diego, the old days, and then maybe like even like the New Orleans stadiums, it's the old small lockers, and then you have to find these little cubbies, and sometimes you can't find that area, so you get jammed into the bathroom. And the
Oh my
bathroom,
goodness.
oh, it's the funniest thing. So the bathroom, everybody has a ritual before the game. Some, they warm up, and that means they're actually warming themselves up by doing exercises. And some
Right.
want the most passive, which is a hot shower. So then they turn on the shower.
So you
So
got
they
heat on top of it.
yeah, so now I got the steam room, plus I'm working on these athletes. Plus, I'm right by the commode, right? So then you got the number one, number two, then you got the shower, and then you got this therapy going. So I'm getting every variable you can to get myself taking care of these guys. And then I'm just sitting there goes, if I can only film this, this is the funniest thing. So
This
other
is
guys, yeah, it's funny. These guys know when you go out there, like nobody really cares. All they care about is getting ready, and it doesn't matter where you're at. But for
right.
me,
As quick as possible. Yeah.
yeah, for me, they're only there for maybe 5, 7 minutes, and then they go. But I'm there stuck in there for 2 hours, getting caught by all these steam, smells, sounds. I'm getting everything going. I'm like, I can't believe this. And then you're thinking, NFL, this is it right here. Welcome to the NFL.
Welcome to NFL. Wow. What a high pressure. Like, it's such high pressure for the athletes themselves, but you are elevating your game to match them in order to treat so many of them at a high pace, difficult conditions, pressure. Like it's pushing you to the limit, just like they're pushed to the limit in the game. Like You really had to push. So you were doing the Super Bowl every time for your own, right? You
Yeah.
really had to push yourself.
Yeah. So I don't want to be the excuse of some athlete saying I didn't do well because of that guy, that Dr. Rhee. So I made sure that I gave my 100% to everybody that I was working on. And so then I know that deep down that it wasn't me that maybe had like some type of injury, because I know I took care of him prior to the actual
Right.
like the game. So that's why I put my effort in there before the game.
Wow. So, what helped you in terms of your mindset to get through with these high level elite athletes in a super high pressure environment? Because, you know, not everyone you'll put there will do well. Like people will crumble. Like this, the position you were in can easily break someone mentally and physically. And like, what did you like? What helped you? Because that can apply to the listeners, regardless of what the job they do, what profession they do. It's when under high pressure, what do you do? And
You know,
so,
yeah. So I think the big thing that started this whole this cascade where I'm at now with this pressure is the military. I mean, that
mm,
military, believe it or not, it was the reason why I went in the military is because of when I was younger, I was in that world of being like in the bad realm of the society world. So I
mm,
wasn't the cream of the crop citizen out there. So I had my little negativities there. So
yeah,
I knew that I had some capability, but I wasn't ready to mature. So I'm glad the military put me in this motion of believing in myself, and then learning through my mistakes, and really like these
mm,
little victories that condition you to be a better person. So the military sets standards that gives you a really like a even plane with everybody, but more importantly with yourself. So
mm,
because of that, I learned that those goals that the military set for me, then I basically adopted those because I'm in the military. It became like
mm.
an achievable situation where it's like you set standards or you set goals and you achieve it. Like so, I flew in the military, and
Oh wow,
I was very
with the
fortunate.
Navy.
So yeah, so I was a backseat. They called me a sensor operator of a S3 jet.
Mm.
So I went in there undesignated, meaning I didn't have a job. I had to get in there. So I just went in there, and luckily I scored high enough on this test called the
Wow.
ASVAB score. So
What
with
is it?
that,
Asbas?
as ASVAB, like
Yeah.
it's a military test that shows
Ah,
your level of like education or knowledge. So you
interesting.
can
Yeah, yeah, like an entrance
yeah.
test. Yeah,
So
yeah.
with those scores, you can have a particular job. So I was lucky enough to have a high
Ah,
enough score so I can pick any job in the Navy. So I
mm,
didn't care. So I said, well, what's fun? That's all I cared about was like, I want to have a fun time. So they talked about flying and they talked about swimming. I said, okay, I'll do that. So I never thought about that world. And then all of a sudden I said, all right, let me look at this. And then I started looking at these tests you have to go through, starting off with your
mm,
physical examination of your body. And then
mhm.
you'll start seeing these pool people. And then as you go through this testing, you'll start seeing people kind of, drop down because they can't pass their something with their eye vision or something with their hearing.
Right.
So you start, then you go through these little classes, and it's a long pipeline to become like an aviator with your wings. So you start seeing people fail, and then the military teaches you that if you apply yourself you can pass these tests. You just have to like follow these steps. So because of
Mm,
these little lessons in life, but really the curriculum, you learn that hey, just apply and then you pass, and then it just started building up on that, and then you get these little
mm,
more difficult tests and it gets bigger and better, and then all of a sudden next thing you know you're in the flying motion, then you're in a simulator, then you're actually flying the plane, then you're in the back seat, and then you have to actually know what you're doing. So these little things are
mm,
like little victories that you go along, and then it finally got to a point where you feel real confident, like hey, I think I can accomplish anything now, because you're at a point where it's becoming like second nature, like you're constantly like being challenged, and goes okay, just follow the steps, believe in
mhm.
yourself, take these little micro wins, and just go through the process and then continue on. So that took me, after the military, I got out, went to college, and it became easy. It's like, all you got to do is just pay attention in class, do your notes, study, and then the professor gives you the answer if you listen to him, and then you get the good grade. So that's
Mm,
those things that I feel where I'm at now were stemmed from the military and how they micro kind of taught you in a winning world that if you look at the big picture, it's hard to achieve that. But if you look at
Yeah.
one step at a time, it's so much easier. You know what they say, right? Take one small bite of the elephant, right, or something like that, right? How was that? I
Right.
forgot that. I
Yeah,
forgot
that's
that. I
right.
forgot that phrase right there.
Yeah, that's right. Something about getting a whole elephant, you got to start one bite. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
something like that. I
Yeah,
forgot
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Gosh.
I like that saying, but there is so many wins already in what you're sharing, like takeaways for listeners, and you're naming these micro wins and taking small steps. But there's also persistence, and you name believing in yourself. These are really important components. You believe I'm going to get there, but it's going to take time. Sometimes we want to get to the top right away, and it's like we got to put time. Like everything happens just like grass. It doesn't suddenly grow. Like you got to be patient, water it in time. It grows, but it doesn't suddenly just go poof. You know what I mean? Like,
So
yeah.
what I've learned, right? I mean, through I guess when I like here's a good thing about me. Like I've got a great defense mechanism when it comes to looking forward. I've got a bad
Mm,
memory, so I don't remember bad things that happened in the past. So my only thoughts are the future. So I think about the future and I just look at goal setting because I just can't stop and think about the past because it's not there. So I have that
mm,
ability to like continue on and not remember the negativity that may slow me down to progress. So that's a great thing.
mm.
I don't know if I learned that through my childhood, but I know that that assists me to where I'm going forward now. It's just
Yeah.
one of those. If they can just kind of turn off that bad memory in the past and shut that off, people will look at the future like, wow, it's so
Ugh.
bright now. There's nothing to drag to the future.
I wish maybe I need to work on creating something like that. Just push a button, boop, in the counseling world, and just boop, and then the pass is erased. That'd be so nice.
Oh yeah,
And I love what you're saying, though. Is there's something about even first time we spoke, like you're like a turbo engine powerhouse, truly. So much like aliveness, energy, and it makes sense. You don't strike me at all as someone who's dragging the past with you. You know what I mean? Like you've seemed to have learned. You learn from things that happen, and that's just my sense. You learn, you move forward, and you aim for what's the next target you're going after, and you go full blast. Like I can see you doing this with your book. With what's next is like full blast, aim to the next
yeah.
one, and I so admire that. Like you're moving forward.
Well, here's a great thing about life in general. If you never quit, you keep on working, you never lose. You would never lose.
Mm,
You just keep on going. I mean, that's how life is. Just keep on going, no matter what. Nobody's gonna ever say you lost if you keep moving forward. It could be small steps, it
mm,
can be big steps, but just keep moving. And then it's like, no matter what, you're still working on it. So they can never look at you like, oh, you're a quitter or you didn't make it. Like, well, I'm still working on it. So with that, that just gives you that more incentive to just keep on looking forward to a bright
yeah.
future.
It's time for a quick little update. A few months ago, 2.5% of you who are watching this content were subscribed to this channel. I'm so grateful to you. You helped us move it to 20%. However, if we do the math, that still leaves us 80% of you have not subscribed. Please help me change that. Go ahead and press that subscribe button. Thank you so much. Let's get back to the content. I love that. It reminded me of a quote I just heard recently. It's something like success, no, failure is the admission price for success. And I was like, huh?
Mm,
Oh yeah. Like it has to happen. Things don't go our way, but we keep going. It's just the admission to get to success. And
100%.
right?
100%. If you
Yeah.
don't fail, then you're not doing the right thing. There's an
Yeah.
easy path, and I always say the easy path is a tough path, but the easy path is learning. That's the thing. Learning through
Mm,
mistakes, either from yourself or others, and be attentive of where you're at and going forward. So absolutely,
mm,
that price is important. Now, have I failed? Absolutely, I failed a lot.
mm.
But if you just keep on trucking along, just keep on going forward, it's no
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah. But you see, it's in how you're handling these setbacks. Because someone else, if they handle it differently, they won't be moving forward like you are. Like there's something about your mindset. And that's what I'm so interested in. I want to ask you about that as well. Before we get into your book and regenerative medicine, there's so much. I think we need like 10 hours.
Yeah.
But,
Hey, but
but
can I mention one thing on that
yeah.
note about so here's the thing what I thank you very much for saying that I'm positive, energetic, and stuff.
Yeah.
But there are times that I get pause. Like how you have a
Yes.
pause, right? So I remember, like, being, how you get to these little trauma points in your life where you have like
Mm,
just negative. So there was a time in my life when I had a lot of bad things happen to me in a period
yeah.
of like 1 month. Like I had, just to kind of like, whatever. So I had my mom died. Then my
Really.
sister died the same week.
Oh
Then I
wow.
then I broke my foot. Then my business is going down. I mean, I'm just getting loaded and loaded with this stuff. So here I am in crutches, broken foot, and I'm going onto a second level, and it's nighttime. I'm like, just there's clouds over me. There's
Like, you
dog
mean in your
urine.
home when you say second level?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
going up
no,
the
no, no,
stairs?
on this condo. So
Condo, yeah, going up. Yeah, yeah.
going up. So I'm on my crutches, going up the stairs, and there's a pool of urine. I slip on it. I'm
Oh,
laying down in this pool of urine. I smell it, and I just pause. 10 minutes, and I'm sitting. This is where I'm at right now. You have a choice right now. I will never forget that. Just sitting there for 10 minutes, like I for once I was like thinking like I belong here. This is where I'm at right now. But then you just sit there and you just get kind of like the, I don't know what it is, but it's that something that was built in me that it said it's time to get up. It's time to go forward. And then that right there, it took, there's always these forks in the road or little notches in the steps. And that
mm,
was a big stepping stone in my life. I think like, okay, let's go. We're still here. So got back on my crutches. I smell like urine. I said, hey, I took the
wow.
first step getting up. So
Mm,
we all have these negativities, and then
yeah.
but I'll never forget that. It's like that that falling down and laying in that puddle of urine. And I'm sitting there goes, and I said to myself, I belong here. And then it took me a little time. Goes, wait a minute, it's time to get up now. So
Mm. That's so interesting because a couple of things. One of them is like acceptance, but not resignation. Like I am now here. This is how it is right now. Broken foot, all the tragedies, and then I have a choice to move forward. But it requires really both, and I find that a lot with a lot of successful people is you have to be with how it is first, because sometimes people think, just shove the pain, pretend it's not there, and like almost become a robot. But that's not human. Like, you feel it, you acknowledge it, soak in the hurt, and then move forward.
100
So we're not
percent.
short circuiting the healing. Otherwise, we're short circuiting the healing. If we just, no, no, everything is great and wonderful. It's like fake positivity.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think that
yeah.
the science side of me always, we look at problem, but you have to first identify the problem. You can't solve something if you don't identify. That's a big. What you just said. I mean, you wrapped it up in that beautiful
Mm,
way. It's you got to identify the problem. You just can't go
yeah.
hide and then solve it with a quick fix. You got to figure out where you're at. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you can move forward.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how about, when, in terms of your work with elite athletes, in terms of, is there qualities that you've noticed across the board, those who do well in terms of mindset and working with setbacks? Like, is it optimism? Is it like what distinguishes the high performers? Like, I mean, they're all humans, but what's is
Yeah.
there
So
something that from all your experience are like, oh, here's what stands out for a lot of people who recover better from injury and do
yeah.
better?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is what you hinted on
Mm,
was the attitude. You got to have a very optimistic attitude. So
mm,
just like anything else, you're going to come across an athlete that have there's that that's full spectrum. There's one that's very optimistic, positive. Let's go get it done. We have a job. This is a blessing in disguise. And the other one is saying, "Why me? I can't. I feel too much pain. I can't come back. There's no way I can come back." I mean, as we know in the psychology world, you understand if the mind's not there, the body's not going to follow along. So you're already losing the battle. So I've
right.
seen rehab take double, triple the length it should because of that mindset. If you're positively, I mean, your body, is going to do what it wants to, but it helps so much if the mental catches up to that body. It will heal.
Mm,
So then you can endure the pain. There's going to be painful moments in rehab that you have to go
yeah.
through because you build scar tissue because you're healing, and then you're going to have to, create that new tissue that's normal Whereas if you do the opposite, where like I feel pain, I can't heal, let's take a break, I don't want to push, well, it
Uh,
creates scar tissue. So now you're, I mean, it's a great analogy, but if you don't heal properly, you carry that for the rest of your life. Versus a person that
mm,
fights through that, break up that problem, scar tissue, and now you have normal tissue. So your future is normal. So that's very interesting about
uh,
that.
yeah. Which is again working through, like, there's going to be a push to work through the scar tissue. It's going to be unpleasant, right? But this persistence and working through challenges, because this will apply to anyone, even if they're not elite athletes, injury or going to physiotherapy or rehab. And I've had so many injuries myself from different sports. And it really gets me to stop and think, okay, what can I do mentally to help my body? Because it's kind of depressing when we can't do what we normally like to do, even if someone just walks and they suddenly can't walk because of an injury, or it's depressing. Do you know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, you think about it. A lot of like us, we look at exercise as a form of therapy, right? So that's the
Yeah.
big thing. So when you restrict us from being active, you're taking a big portion of our therapy,
Yeah.
which is like almost like you're putting yourself into a coma state. You can't
Yeah.
mentally get there, and because your physical is holding you back. So those are the things that you have to look at. So that's why when you come to rehab, you never look at the present. You look at the future. I want to be here. What do I have to get to there? So I have to go through this rehab, this painful component, because the swelling, the scar tissue formation, the fighting through, because it's trying to form
Mm.
tissue, scar tissue everywhere. You've got to break it up as soon as possible before it lays down incorrectly. So
Ah.
in the rehab world, when you look at these two kind of athletes, professional athletes, you know, they're just like us. There's no difference between them and
Yeah.
us, except for they just have the gift of being that well in their sport, and then they just have
Yeah.
that ability to push a little bit. But the real good super athletes, the ones that are like all pros, are really they're the ones that go beyond that, and they're mentally strong. They are
Ah.
capable of handling anything. They're injured, they know what to do. Okay, next step, identify the problem. Let's go to rehab, do the surgery, whatever it has to do, but get me back onto this field. So it's just
Mm.
it's that mental side of that positive and negative that determines really the outcome of that rehab.
What a beautiful mindset you're sharing with us, and never take away, because that's something we can all do. It's like when there's injury or setbacks, it's like, what if I can take on the brain of this elite athlete, whoever anyone follows? Like, well, how would they think about it? How would they? For me, growing up actually was Bruce Lee, and I grew up with, like, I posters Bruce Lee everywhere. I had books of Bruce Lee. It was VHS tapes at the time. When I grew up, I had movies of Bruce Lee, and I'm like, one of his quotes, and I share this often in my podcast, is, I still use it, which is, he says, turn every stumbling block into a stepping stone.
Mm.
Turn every, and I was like, I've used this so many times in my life where big setback happens. Okay. This made me
That's
stumble. How can I use it as a stepping stone now? All right.
that's awesome. I have a poster with the little with his famous like be like water. I
Oh
like
yeah,
that one.
yeah,
Be
yeah.
like water.
Yeah. I wish he was still around, but
Yeah, that's a
yeah,
philosopher slash martial artist slash motivator. So yeah, we lost a good one there.
totally, totally. So, we're talking about mindset here for success, for recovery, for healing that anyone can use and apply. Anything else before we turn to your book, and in terms of motivation, anything else that you find, like, people feel like, I'm not motivated, I'm feeling down? Like, is there things that, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sure
absolutely.
you provide some words of wisdom to your clients or patients, of like, what
So
helps motivation?
so when I okay, so athletes they know how to motivate. They got a team. They know how to motivate themselves. But when they go in the
Yes.
rehab world, they understand they understand how to take the next step mentally. So you touch something really interesting. Like you know I'm the physical side of it, right? So I'm looking at like the structure, the connective tissues, the
Yes.
mental side, and then how
Mm.
it's almost like if there's a therapy that couples along with the actual physical therapy, the two have to blend. I always see it's never like combined as one. It's interesting about
Mm.
that. When someone goes to like like an ACL knee, like a knee surgery, like a knee surgery,
Surgery,
right?
yeah,
So yeah,
which
like
I've
a
had, by the
reconstruction.
way.
Yeah. So imagine if you were doing like the difficult thing, like the actual range of motion, and then you're trying to get that point where it needs to get normal and that flexion, and then you have an audible or some type of like a feedback, like you're doing great, you're doing great, and it's feeding into your brain. So
Mm,
it's almost like cheering you on as you're going through this point of end range painful point, and it's getting you going. So it's like that should be maybe because in my therapy I do that, but
yeah.
in the maybe in some type of like a headset or something like that, just a system when they're doing things on their own, or
Mm,
therapy that helps them positively recognize what's going on and how they're achieving their sets.
yes, yes. To uplift, reframe how they're thinking, evaluate, reflect, because pain can be a trigger to a lot of negative beliefs. Like physical pain can lead to a lot, and there's a lot of research on that, like physical pain and connection to mood and depression too. So when someone's physically triggered, they can mentally spiral. So I totally agree with you, and maybe we need to come up with something.
I there's something to that. That's something to that. I love to talk to you more about that.
Yes.
But as far as like motivation, what helps me motivate, since I'm like, it's difficult where I'm at, because I don't really have like peers that I can kind of bounce ideas
Mm,
off, like I want to, because I'm so busy. But what I
yeah.
do is I reflect on like motivational videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
There, you just put motivation and a subject line and your challenges that you think you have, and just listen to what others have gone through and how they motivate themselves, and then they'll help you get motivated by yourself.
Mm. I love that because we can really draw on inspiration. Like there's so much information out there, and why not draw upon it to lift ourselves, like to step up, like take a little pause to step up. I love that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's a daily occurrence too in our world. So
Yeah, exactly. Which is again another takeaway. Things require repetition. We have to motivate ourselves. We have to get resources, but keep going like you have. Keep going. Like
keep
this is
going.
what I tell people when I teach meditation. I teach stress reduction and mindfulness. And like, keep going. Start again tomorrow. Keep going. Keep
Oh,
going. Right. To get progress, you got to keep going to get improvements.
oh,
Yeah.
100%. There's
Yeah.
the easiest way out of things is, excuses and stopping and finding that out. But repetition, that builds a lot of confidence too.
Yeah.
It feels like it's almost it's almost like prerequisites to doing something in what I do. Like I love to do a little meditation in the morning, and set my standards to where I want to be, and be
Mhm.
optimistic, and just learning that the day starts with me, and then being positive. There's nothing worse than being negative upon yourself in the morning, and then going out in the world, and all of a sudden everything is gray and negative. You gotta
Yeah.
set your mind straight first before you get out of that door.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to quickly thank you for stopping by and watching this content. It truly means the world to me that you're interested in creating positive change. I also want to invite you to join our amazing community. I have free events online about mindfulness, mindfulness based stress reduction, laughter, as well as retreats that you can do from the comfort of your own home. And are you ready for this? Self paced program that you can do about mindfulness and stress reduction. So you can join the newsletter below to stay up to date on all these goodies. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and press that button. It really helps me to keep this content going and reach out to more guests. Thank you so much again, and may you continue enjoying watching this episode. Oh, this is so good. Like you're actually cleaning your lens, so to speak, right? Like cleaning the lens
That's
before you
good.
start. So how do you see the day? Like if it's all muddy, the world's gonna look pretty muddy through that lens. But if you clear it up, like you're doing, like hey, it's gonna look a lot better.
Man, you're good at this thing. You can make a whole bunch of bumper stickers right now. This is awesome.
Let's do
I love it. This is good. Clean your
it.
lens in the morning. I love it.
Clean your lens in the morning, a bumper sticker. How about
Oh, that's
that?
awesome.
It's so good. So, I'm wondering, I'm super curious about how you get into regenerative medicine and this whole world of stem cell. Like, there's so many questions for you, but like, what led you to that? Because here you are, all the work you're doing as a chiropractor, that's full on. Like, what led you to be curious about this whole world of
Yeah.
stem cell and regenerative medicine?
So it started way back, 2004, five, back when I worked at
Mm,
UCLA as a the chiropractor on the athletic department. You know, as I graduated from, in that world, I'm into my own practice and working at UCLA, and also like seeing where these kids, when they graduate college, they go in the pro world, and then seeing how they recover based on their other teammates, and then their team. So
mm,
back then, it was the world of, they call it prolotherapy. And prolotherapy is when they
right.
inject like the sugar water into your injured area, and your body thinks that's an antigen, so it creates this antibody kind of like formation of collagen growth and stuff, and it's supposed to heal faster. So that was the theory back then. So it started off in that world, and then it
Mhm.
moved
I've
to,
actually tried that on a shoulder injury. I've
yeah.
actually tried
So
prolotherapy myself.
pro,
Yeah, it did help. Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh. So then then next came the PRP world, platelet
Mhm.
rich plasma, and then you just draw your own blood and you re-inject into yourself with the actual growth factors, and it again heals, right? So
Yes.
then, as these athletes get further and further in their career, and as time goes by, it starts evolving, right? So we keep evolving. All we're trying to do is get the recovery going faster and faster. So now we're in the world of getting it faster from PRP. Now we're going to the next step, which is stem cell, where they actually take it from your own body, like from your fat tissue or your bone
Mhm.
marrow. Very invasive, but they're trying to get this thing called the mesenchymal stem cell. And then they do like a little centrifuge, and they take it out, and they inject that stem cell, the mesenchymal stem cell,
Mhm.
into a damaged area. And so
Just an
then all this,
injection.
yeah, injection. So then it
Yeah.
moves into the world of, all right. So that's pretty good for your own body, right? But the problem is the own body's tissue has the same age as the injured site. So they want something more younger and vibrant. So then they looked at donor
Right.
tissue like the umbilical cord. So there's a tissue outside the umbilical cord called the Wharton's jelly. It has a high concentration of mesenchymal stem cells. That was same thing
Mm.
that's in your fat tissue or your bone marrow. But the good thing about that, it's a younger tissue. So when it's younger tissue, it's more vibrant, more signaling. So
Mm.
now you take that tissue and you inject it to the damaged tissue. Now you've got a faster growth because a signaler, you're trying to signal your
Mhm.
existing tissue to turn on, wake up. Now it goes.
Aha.
Now, the problem with the injections as these athletes go around into this regenerative medicine is that they can't do it during the season because there's a downtime for injections. So if you do an injection,
Ah.
like the NFL, if you do an injection, you may miss 1, 2 weeks of game, and those guys get paid based on the contracts. Like game performance, just
Right.
attending a game, being like not injured and all that. So it affects them. So they don't want to do that. Instead, what they do during the season is like a pain management. Like they do like some type
Ah.
of injection that numbs the area where it doesn't heal. So they're able to play, but they play through injury and might make it worse. So
Mm.
as these athletes are talking to me, I see a void in the world. There's got to be some way to apply this stem cell, the regenerative
Mm.
medicine components from Wharton's jelly, to the damaged tissue without that downtime of injection. So that's where I started doing some research, doing a little bit of testing, and finally, figured out, well, there's already like a carrier that uses like an agent that transport,
Mm.
drugs through the skin to a body part, and that's DMSO. So DMSO is
Mm.
utilized right now, and then with that, you think
Mm.
about, okay, so these molecules are small enough. I can take these bioactive biomolecules that's inside these Wharton jelly, and then take that and then put it into a topical cream, and then have the
Ah.
ability to transdermally go through the skin to the target tissue. So with that, we started going through development, and then playing around with it and just trying to get the
Wow.
right formulation. And then I think I have it. So we have it, and we're trying to figure out. Okay, so we got to do some testing. So we did like an 80-patient pilot study on it. He goes, all right.
Mhm.
It's we have a pain scale before and after, and we have a 51% reduction of pain. So that's a good sign.
51%? That's a good
Yep.
amount of reduction.
Yeah. So then we're
Wow.
having good. So we're so I'm self funded, so I can't go into the big clinical with the IRB. So I'm into like just
Oh,
doing my own research and just trying to push things along. So come along this NFL player. He's a quarterback that had Achilles tendonitis in both his Achilles tendons.
ooh,
Now he's reaching to the point where he has to report to camp in 2 days, and he's been through regenerative medicine injectables. So now he's at a
mm,
point where he has to do something, but he doesn't want to report it because he's on his last year contract. He can't go to the medical because if you go in there, then they're going to notate that. Then when you go into renegotiation, they're going to say, well, you have this injury. Your worth is less now because of this injury. So he wants to
wow,
avoid
that
that.
is rough.
Oh yeah, so his mindset is like, okay, I want to do something that I can continue on playing without them, knowing about my injury. So then I can go ahead, take care of my contract as I renew it. So he was my first real test subject on the real playing
Wow.
field.
So elite athlete
Yes,
who's really, yeah.
he's really pushing. So the nice thing about that, he would give me feedback. Okay, because he'll say, "Hey, it's to this, to that," and he helped me formulate that. So he would change the actual like the percentage of what needs to be done. And finally, he perfected it and in the feeling. So then I said, okay, let's go with that. And then he lasted the whole season. In fact, he healed. And the more important thing is that he continued on with his career without that injury, playing any havoc in this contract.
Wow. So you had like a real test subject, so to speak, who's an elite athlete, saying quarterback. And then so it means together you were exploring dosages, how much and how much to apply and where. Is that what you mean? Like you worked with the formula, so to speak?
Yeah, both. So it's about the
Oh.
application itself, and then really how it felt. So he would give me feedback. It's got thermogenic effects, so it may be too hot, too cold, too long
Ah.
lasting. So we just kept on changing it until we perfected it.
I'm super interested in this because myself. It's so funny you say that about this elite athlete with Achilles. I had a partial Achilles tear a couple of years ago on a half marathon. It was my first attempt to complete a half. I overtrained too much, pushed myself in the middle of the half marathon. Pop, and the medical had to drive me off to the finish line. It was disappointing, but yeah, I had to work with my mindset. Then I'm like, I'm gonna get back. I've just got to do what it takes to come back, and I did. And I've been just running. I just did a half marathon 2 days ago
Oh,
again. So
congratulations, man!
thank you so much, Phil. Yeah, felt great. This one was a trail one in the mountain, and I'm
Oof.
still sore. But
Yeah,
but I'm really curious. Is this in terms of availability for now is just in the US, right? So it's not available in Canada or
yeah. No, right now we're
right.
just in America. Correct.
Right. Yeah. Well, I hope one day it will be available to us here because
Yeah,
I'll be curious.
it's difficult because right now the regulation, okay, prior to probably 2022, regenerative medicine stem cells, the actual tissue, it was the field was wide open. There was not
Mm,
much regulation going on. There are stem cells that can be derived from the mesenchymal stem cell, like the Wharton's jelly and your own tissue. Well,
right.
there's all kinds of stem cells, and including the umbilical. I'm sorry, the embryonic stem cell from like
Right.
the fetus, right? So now you're looking at like abortions, right? So we don't
Mm,
ethically we don't touch that tissue, but there are
right.
countries that actually get involved with that. So
Oh.
yeah, so the problem with that is that when you start looking at regenerative medicine and you start looking at these cells that have these DNAs and chromosome, you got to be careful because now you're going into the world of tumor formation. You don't know what it may change into. You don't know. So that's why this field is it's so new. So mesenchymal stem cell itself,
Mm,
there's a lot of research behind that, from all the way from cardiac tissue, from connective tissue, and pancreas. There's a lot of good stuff on it.
hmm.
But the thing is that they don't know what's really going on. They know that it's supposed to differentiate the cell differentiate into the target tissue. That's the theory, right? It changes into it. But
Hmm.
if you look at basic biology, just biology and the actual chromosome and knowing about the codes, so when you think about like this thing called mitosis, when these cells divide and turn into like these daughter cells, and then
Hmm.
these things are like adult stem cells, and they make these other cells. When you look at those cells, you're asking yourself, how does that cell with its millions of codes that go and make something like a tissue of ligament, tendon, how does the other tissue know exactly your chromosome code and turn into that particular tissue? So
Wow.
then you have to think of there's no way possible. So what you have to your next step is what it's signaling. So it's about the signal. So it's the actual what they call the
Oh.
EVs, extracellular vesicles, like the bioactive biomolecules. These little signals. Like you hear these buzzwords like exosomes, or you hear these like these these kind of like these growth factors, right? But these are like these EVs. So think about like it's basically exosome is like a carrier, and what's inside
Mhm.
there are like little messages are like cytokines or microRNA, but they don't have a nucleus, not a DNA or chromosome, so it's just signals.
Mm.
So when this cell goes next to your target cell and next to that cell, it goes through a thing called a paracrine effect. So that's the cell to cell
Mm.
signaling. So we know we heard of endocrine system, right? Well, that's basically a
Right.
long distance. These cells come along, they signal your organs to do things. Well, then you take the closer one with the paracrine, and that's closer, and that's cell to cell
Mm.
communication. So you take the target tissue, which is I'm sorry, the target tissue here. Let's say it's your tendon, and it's got injury, but it's not doing the regenerative healing process. So then you need
Mm.
a signal, or you need a signal say, hey, turn on to generate new tissue. So then, because of this, we need something young, vibrant that's coming from the umbilical cord, orange jelly, and
Uh,
it comes down here and it attaches there and it signals, wake up. So now it signals, all right, let's go, let's turn on. So that's what this is all about. It's signaling.
wow.
They call it cell-free, regenerative medicine.
Mm. So it's supporting the body's natural healing capacity
Yeah,
by
yeah, has
signaling.
yeah. So when people talk about I have live cells, live cells, live cells, more than likely, this is another thing that there's a myth out there. So when you look at like stem cell therapy and then how they do this delivery system, so there's a lab that does the actual like the process of taking the Wharton's jelly from the umbilical cord. Right? You take the Wharton's jelly and you extract the mesenchymal stem cell.
Mhm.
So when you get the mesenchymal stem cell, then you cryo it, meaning that you put it into a like a nitrogen preserve and less than like negative 66 degrees, and you keep it there so you can have that livelihood after you defrost it. Well, it gets shipped to you at the clinic from wherever that distance is. Could be 1,000 miles, right? So when it comes to you, it's in cryopreserve. So now you have to go through a defrosting system. The problem with defrosting is
Right.
that you have to do a very extensive step. It's like 10 degrees notched down, and it's a long process. So
Mm.
what some of these people that don't have the time for this long process to defrost it back into a gelatinous liquid state, they just put it in the palm of their hand, and then they do what they call a shock thaw. Well, a shock thaw, believe it or not,
Wow.
it kills the cells. When you kill the cells, now it was probably alive when they cryoed it, but now it's dead. But here's the thing, it still works. So it's not about the living cells, it's about the secretion of those cells, those EVs, the signalers. They're in there, and that's what's
Wow.
important. So that's why people, when they go through stem cell therapy, the cells are dead, but the signals are still there, and it gets down there and it signals existing
Mm.
tissue. So that's the wonderful thing about this is that people are looking at live cells and these number cells. No, it's about the EVs. It's about the secretory, the secret, what's secreting out to that EVs to signal your existing tissue to do what it's supposed to do.
Wow. What an amazing, like miraculous body. Do you know what I mean? That when you look at the biology and the chemistry and what's happening inside of us, it's like it's pretty miraculous actually. And
Oh,
we
it's
get signal.
amazing.
It's like wow, what a world. I mean, talk about the universe is massive, but how about the internal universe? Like wow,
And then
yeah.
and then the only thing that we have that's going against us, of course, is aging, right? So
Yeah.
then you have to look at why do we get injured as we age, right? Why are we more susceptible to injuries as we get older, right?
Mm.
Then you have to think about what's going on in our cells, and then we have to have that secret word, right? Telomeres, right? You gotta think about the word telomeres, right? And then you
Yes.
think about what has happened to that chromosome that won't let you what they call replicate from RNA, DNA to make mitosis, cell divide, make more cells. So those things are
Mhm.
gone in a thing called senescence. So you need to increase those telomeres back to its normal length. The normal length being that every time you replicate, it chews down those telomeres down to a point where it can't, it doesn't want to replicate anymore because you don't want to miscode these codons. So you need something to increase those telomeres, and there's an enzyme called telomerase. Telomerase is in abundance in Wharton's jelly and umbilical cord tissue. So now you have to get it out into the actual tissue that's gone in senescence, wake it up, and then the next thing you want to signal, since it's now back to its normal length, ready to receive that signal. Here comes the signal, and then now it's going to do its job. So that's why it's really important where you get this tissue, because we have these enzymes in our body right now. But as
Mhm.
we age, they decrease so fast. You have to figure
Right.
out increase it, right? So there's so many good things out there in the donor tissue, and there's some plants out there that actually can increase your telomeres too. So there's so much research going on out there right
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah.
it's a great field to be in, and it's evolving every day. You see studies, you hear things, and you
Yes.
see things that's going great out there.
That's amazing. So, it's like a new frontier right now, the stem
Oh
cell and the
yeah,
research and the change. And, and not all stem cells are equal. And the provider is like, wow, there's so much out there. And, I guess, is that one of the reasons that led to you writing the book? If you can just share a little bit about your book.
yeah. So that's the big thing, is that I get into these discussions over and over again with these doctors and other people that are asking about it. What is stem cell? Why is it topical better than the actual injection? So because of that, I had to write a book just to give the basic principle of where stem cell, where it started from, how it evolved to where it's going towards the topical. So that's why the book was formed. It's not so much out of like I want to write this because it's fun. I want to write this because it saves me time to explain this all the time. Hey, I don't want to
It's
explain
like,
here.
here, go
Here,
read this.
take this book. Read. There's the good thing about the book. There's two versions of it. There's one version, that you can have the science side of it, and there's another version which is a layman's term where it just walks you through a guy named Jeff that discovers, from his injury about stem cell and how he wants to move into this world, but he's worried about some of the injectables, consequences of the side effect. So then he's introduced a topical. So you can see it throughout the whole book how he discovers it along with the science side of it.
How did you come up with that idea? I wanted to ask you that. Like, how did you come
Okay,
up with
okay.
the idea? You made something so complex for many of us, like what, like this whole world of stem cell. What is, and then along with the clear science, you make it so relatable. This
Okay.
person. So
I love that question. So I had a friend, I was, when you write a chapter, you kind of like, all right, I got the chapter, I scienced it, all that stuff, right? I proofread it, and I started, and I gave it to my friend, goes, here, take a look at this thing. She would go, what? I said, okay, and I have to explain. I go, hang on. Let me go ahead and give you little cliff notes, or let me
right,
put Jeff in there, and then all of a sudden, parallel with Jeff, she goes, oh, so then I started telling people, it goes, forget the science, just look at Jeff, just read Jeff, and then you'll go back and have an overall feel of what's going on. Then you'll go back and you'll get the actual the data components of it. But it was on a necessity for the second version, which is that I want to explain myself, but I got to explain it down to the layman person. So
yes. This is yet another example of success. Like you took a step without knowing. I just got to move forward, take a step, write a book. You didn't know exactly how it's going to come out, but you took this step. And, another takeaway for the listeners. You took a step. And as you did it, an opportunity arose, an opportunity of like, how can I make this better? And I tell you, that's genius because the science can be so intimidating for many people, like no, I won't understand this is too complex. I don't get this stuff. But here's a portion of it that's in your book, like, wait a minute, you don't have to be a brain surgeon, you know what I mean? It's just like anyone can understand this. It's
yeah.
relatable. It's a story. And that's really genius. And again, another example of you just moving forward, and then something open up, an opportunity. Like opportunities don't show up if we don't move forward, and you did. And there it is, an idea for your book.
Hey, thank you very much. I'm gonna tell you something, man. You make me feel real good. You make me feel like I'm somebody now. You know that?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
listening to you, all you guys out there listening, listen to him. This is like the best thing. You feel down? Just listen to this guy right here all day long. I was like, whoa, I feel pretty good. I sat a little higher in my seat. Goes, hey, wait a minute, is that who's he
Yeah,
talking to?
right.
I'm looking around. Oh, it's me.
It is you. High fives all the way. Here we go.
Oh man, there
Boom.
you go, man. That's awesome, man.
I so love conversations where we can elevate each other, right? Like support, elevate, and I find this is one of the reasons I really do this is get to know amazing people, learn about their mindset, and really like support each other. Like if we all do this with people around us, support each other, lift each other, learn from each other, ah, I mean, life gets more and more interesting.
Oh man, this is so
Yeah.
good. Especially like in these times with like social media and the
Yeah.
internet. This is valuable. This is so valuable. If you ever feel that little bit of that, that negativity, or you feel down, you can catch it before you really fall down. You've just got to acknowledge, recognize the issue you have, and then seek out that help through this medium. This podcast would be fantastic. You just thumb through this thing, and then you'll see that something that clicks in you. Goes, just listen. It's just something fun.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And there's always something. I know when I listen to podcasts myself too, like there's always something that's like sticks. I'm like, ooh, I want to apply this. I like this. I like this conversation. I want to be talking to these people. I want to, you know what I mean? Like, so always something to learn. Totally. I really, really appreciate you. I want to go back to something. I know we're nearing the end, but I just have a couple more things I want to ask you about, if it's okay.
Yeah.
Um, so, one of the things you mentioned is regenerative medicine. Is regenerative regeneration is not just medical, but it's a mindset. And I really like that made me pause. Like, yeah, it's not just like, here, do something to me, but there's a mindset. Can you share a little more about what you meant by that? It's not just medicine; it's mindset. Like, there's something
It's
about.
definitely. I mean, you just imagine if you go into like I guess the analogy I would use is that you go into something that you have a positive attitude, and then like for instance, like you already have a predetermined like set that the dentist is going to be an awful experience, and then you're 100% right. You already set your mind that way. So, but if you really take that energy and you change it around, you be a you're in that positive mode. I love it. I'm gonna get my teeth clean. It's gonna solve this. So the future, I'm gonna have great teeth. Yeah. So taking that analogy, you put it into the rehab world. Now those two, that one athlete that's perfectly mentally strong, and he's gonna do everything to get
Mhm.
himself back. He's gonna endure the pain in the present to be in the future. Then you got the opposite person. I mean, these are two athletes are similar
Right.
in their strengths, everything, their physical. It's just the mindset, and if it's that mind can connect with the body through rehab, the outcome is so much better. You can
Mm,
ask anybody out there. You just you hang around negative people. You just look at their appearance. You just look at
yeah.
their outcome. You just see that they just almost like secrete out that type of like
Yeah.
that bad energy. And it's like you hate to say it, but you have to avoid that person because you're gonna have
Yeah.
to be very careful because he'll take your energy. That's how I always see. Like we only have so much
Right.
battery, so you have to understand that you don't want to waste it on bad things, and that includes a person that's going to
Mm,
pull it from you. So when it comes to rehab again, the mindset. So when I have an athlete that's feeling down, I start just slowing down and reassuring and get him on board. He's got to be on board because if he doesn't believe in you and your approach to rehab and his goals, it's almost like
mm,
don't even do the rehab because you're gonna be in the world of escape goal. You're at fault. Now all of a sudden you didn't make me feel better.
right.
So now you have to get him to understand this is your life. This is your need. This is your goals. You want to get back on the field. How do you want to do this? You want to go to slow or fast? And then let him decide. Okay, if you want to be there, what do we take the next step? And that's the mental side. All right, you've got to
Ah,
get there. You got to ask me to push you. You got to say that, and then you have to really want it. And then once they're on board, then it's like you just got to take small little victories. It's like in the military. Small. All right, we're gonna do one more degree of flexion. That's it. Boom, and then we stop. The next day, let's go another degree, and then you just have to micro victories, just micro victories. And all of a sudden,
mm.
he's building himself back to that person that he has confidence as an athlete.
This reminds me of this kind of 1% better philosophy, right? Like just 1% better, just a little bit, used in with a biking Tour de France teams, it's like 1% better. 1%, can I get just 1% better? 1%. It's like sometimes we want to be like 50% better. That's not realistic.
Yeah,
Just 1%, slowly build on it, slowly build on it. That's sustainable, right? Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I think the biggest thing that we have to understand is that there are going to be setbacks. No matter what, there are going to be setbacks. And if you are mentally ready for it and you have the optimistic side of it, you can turn anything into a positive thing. You can
Yeah.
have a setback and you're like, okay, I had a setback. I have more swelling today than usual. It goes, okay, that just tells me that you can trick yourself by saying, I needed an extra day's rest, so let's go ahead and shut it down, but I'm still optimistically, seeing the future in where I want to be at. So, it's definitely the mind has to be involved.
What a total difference of someone who has the same setback and goes, why me? Again, beliefs and thoughts. And one of the things I teach as well is mindfulness. And that kind of really helps us recognize, what am I saying? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? What's happening in my body? Most of the time, we're not aware of that autopilot because we have thousands of thoughts. And most of the time, that's how I'm thinking. But you actually have a choice in what you pay attention to. And here you're naming, like, wait a minute, if we keep thinking, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? That's not helping recovery. you know? Um, Something else I want to name that I really appreciate about what you just said, and it's also in your book, is you're looking at really setback more as possibilities, not limitation. Like something happens. Okay, what's the possibility that I can work with? What's possible here? Like, I love that. Like, instead of like, just look at the limitation, what's possible?
Yeah.
So,
You know, I always feel that, when you start moving forward in anything as far as like your goals, you you have an idea of the path you're taking. Everybody has the goal. Like I always
yeah.
see the goal 6, 12 weeks, months, whatever it is. And I see a sort of a trail, right? You kind of have an idea. You can always get bumped off the trail as long as you just keep moving towards that goal. You're fine. So those setbacks can be, it could bump you from like extra swelling your knee, or for me it could be like, all of a sudden there's something happens in your business world. So then you look at it and goes,
Right.
okay, well, do I stop, or do I just continue on moving at a different kind of like course? So you just change your course, adjust, and keep moving forward. And that's what's the fun about business, is that business is like a real world, like a mirror of your life. If you
Mm,
if you see a very successful business, look at the owner. Look at how his attitude
right.
is. Just look at that. It just tells you what. People think that a business is easy, right? It's fun. Yeah, it's fun if you enjoy challenges. It's a lot. If you love challenges and overcoming, this is a fun world to be in. Come on in here. You know, be a self-made self something, and see the challenges, and see
Yeah.
what integrity you have, and then you want to test yourself. This is the best testing ground right now. So, like I said, I always like look at like a successful business, and I look at the owner, and I see it's a mirror. It's just a
Mm,
great combination. Now, I'm not saying there's a one off of a bad situation, but more than likely it's always a strong willed,
mm.
positive, and just a really like a focused person that really looks at things like everything's achievable, everything can be done, no
Yeah.
problem. Let's go forward.
Yeah. And problems become part of a process. Like, oh, here's a problem. Just something that's needed. It's actually needed, using it as fuel. Here's a problem, helps us figure it out. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Love it. The thing I want to ask you as well is, the name of a podcast is Pause to Elevate. So, what does pausing mean to you? What does pause to elevate mean to you?
You know, when I think of that word pause, as you forward, as your trajectory goes forward,
Mm,
you know, it's always good to find out where you're at the same time of moving forward, just to make sure that you're taking the right
mm,
course. And sometimes when you're pushing hard, you just got to recognize that, am I doing the right thing, or am I doing the correct thing? So when I hear the word pause, when I get momentum, I just do a quick pause, and I see my
mm,
surrounding and see what's going on, who's involved with it, and then see, because is everything in my ethical realm aligned? Do I see my
mm,
objective being cleared? Am I doing negative things? I want to make sure that I still keep my integrity going as I move forward. Because sometimes you do lose a little bit of that, that ethics as far as moving forward. You step on people, you do things that you shouldn't do in that realm. So I make sure that I can live with myself, and then I
right.
want to make sure that there are no like like shrapnel, or like friendly fire, or something that I'm hurting people,
Yeah.
because it's about like, we're only here for a short period of time, and I just want to leave a good, like a imprint of where I was at and move forward. So when I hear the word pause, I
Mm,
always think like, okay, Am I doing good? Am I doing what I'm supposed to do? Am I embarrassing my mom and dad? Am I
Mm,
doing something wrong? No, let's continue on. So that's what I hear the word
mm.
pause, I think about those items.
I really appreciate that description because it feels like pausing for you some kind of compass. You just pause, take a look. Okay, where is this heading? Is it fitting my values, my integrity, my wanting? Looking where I'm heading. There's otherwise, like, who said it? Was it Jim Ron? I can't remember who said it, but something about you can't just row. You have to like look where you're rowing. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think most of us are busy like rowing. I gotta go faster, harder, twice as fast. Row all night, but it's like, well, where's the boat going? Did you
yeah.
remember?
Oh, absolutely. You
Where
know,
is the boat going?
the fun thing about like going back to like like starting something that you're like it's your own world, it's own business. You're going into that entrepreneur world. You're penetrating to the world of like the
Mhm.
unknown or competitive world. What's interesting is that you get to a point where you're grouped together with people, and then you start moving forward, and you start getting a little bit ahead of people, and you start moving forward. That's where it gets lonely. That's where you start needing you.
Yeah,
You need to keep that mind intact. That's the most difficult thing is that
yeah,
when you start off, you're in the group, but as you become more successful and you start going into the
yes.
world, you start recognizing that hey, you got to depend on you. Are you ready for you? Are you the cheerleader? Are you the antagonizer? Who are you? So
Mm,
if I could give any advice out there is that you
mm,
have to have some sense of like honesty with yourself. Like,
mm,
am I confident with myself? Am I willing to go through
mm.
anything to become that person? And and then of course, keep your own ethical self. That's the biggest
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. What great words of wisdom. And I have to tell you, this is so enjoyable. I really feel fired up. Like, I'm this has been absolutely amazing chatting with you. And I sure hope we continue conversation outside this podcast. I really, really appreciate you. So I'm wondering, just before we end, is there anything else you want to share with the listeners? Like, first of all, where can they find you? And I'll put it in the show notes. What's the best place to reach you?
Oh yeah, you can find me on my website, I guess it's regen.com, RHEEGEN.com.
Yes, I'll
You
put it, I'll put that in the show notes. Yeah.
Yeah, you can find me there. Some social media, just look my name up, Rhee, Dr. Tommy Rhee. And then
Yeah.
you know, uh that's a good question. Social media sites, and then Amazon book. You can get the Amazon book.
Yeah.
you know I'll be honest with you, I had a really good time. You kind of threw me off. I forgot what I was here for. Talking to you was so enjoyable because it's like you fired me up. Like, I'm ready to take another business right now. I said, let's go. Wait, what time is it right now? 8 o'clock. It's way too early. Let's
Let's
go
go.
push.
Let's do it. Let's do round two right now.
Let's go. I'm ready to crack up some push-ups. Let's go. They go.
Burpees, push-ups. Let's go. So,
Man, I think you and I would be dangerous if we lived like blocks away from you. I'll pull you.
I,
Let's go,
I,
right?
I would do the same thing. I really mean it. I really mean it.
Oh
I would be
man,
like, oh yeah, yeah.
this is
We
so
need, we
is
need, yeah.
this is so awesome. This is. Let me tell you, you're fantastic. This was so much fun. I like talking
Thank
about a
you.
book, and I love talking about stuff. But what I really like talking about is just helping people, and then giving some assistance through my world to maybe
Yeah.
share with them, maybe something that they can grab from what I went through and use or something. So, but
Yeah.
you made it so fun. Like, man, I'm telling you, you're awesome. You are
Thank
awesome,
you
man.
so much. I really appreciate you. I really do. And it ditto. That's why, like, this was a great dance. Like, we played, we we really played. So thank you so much, and deep bows to you. Thank you for all your incredible work. I'm really excited to stay in touch and hear about your ongoing development and what's coming up next for you. So I'm super excited for you, and I also want to thank all the listeners. Thank you so much for listening. And if you found this useful, please share this with a friend, with a neighbor, with a colleague, with anyone who can benefit from this. If they want to create change or want to address setbacks or learn, please forward this. And if you have subscribed, thank you so much. If you haven't, go ahead and press that subscribe button. It really helps me keep sharing this work. Thank you again, everyone. May your moments be filled with ease and may you be present in as many of them. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching. And if you enjoyed this content, check out what's coming up next right over here. Thank you.